Hello and welcome to the Hybrid Fitness Report episode 6. My name is Paul Reynolds.
My name is Jude Reynolds.
And the main feature for this week is an interview with Jay Curtis, founder and CEO of Deadly Dozen. Unfortunately, Jude couldn't make the interview, so that's just with me and Jay Curtis. So looking forward to showing you all that. But first of all, we have a few updates this week. Jude, what have we got?
First and foremost, I just want to recognize the passing of Rylan Schadegg, a very widely recognized hybrid athlete. And we just want to send our condolences out to his family. To hear about a loss like that at such a young age for such a promising young athlete is just so sad to hear. I met him last year at Worlds, and he had no idea who I was, obviously, and yet gave me the time of day, spoke with me, just seemed like a really genuine, down-to-earth guy. And it seems like a lot of the people that have put stuff out about him, close friends obviously especially, and others seem to have this similar experience. Very, very nice guy, down to earth, and just really, really sad to hear of that news. Speaking of something that he was very good at, DEKA Fit, some update with that is that they've expanded the elite field from 15 to 30. So now, instead of it being the best 15 globally in the world with DEKA Fit this year, it is now the top 30. This will be really interesting and sort of plays into my hands insofar that I am ranked 29th in the world, so kind of just made the cutoff there, but I mean, I'll take it. Definitely not where I'm hoping to place in Worlds. Speaking of which, it does change my goal. Obviously now it's not to retain my under 24 world title, but it is going to be to now place in the top 10 globally instead of globally for my age. So really hope to see a single digit number next to my name. I'm not really looking for a time of sorts, just because I went in with a time mindset into the East Midlands competition, and just with the nature of the venue, that didn't really happen despite my massive improvement in fitness since the last time I did it. So just going in there, if I come 8th with a 34:30, don't really care. If that's the venue that I'm handed, that's the venue I'm handed. And World Championship racing's all about placement, doesn't really care for time. So that's definitely what I'm looking for there. In other news, we have our WOW. So the WOW last week was a 400-meter farmer's carry with open or pro Hyrox weight, depending on which one you compete in. Every time you broke or put the dumbbells/kettlebells down was a 10 deadlift penalty before you could resume making up the 400 meters. How did you do?
Poorly. Thanks for asking. I started off okay. I started off fine, but my forearms quickly started burning. So I think before 100 meters, I put them down for the first time. I was doing this outside at midday in about 30 degrees. So more or less as soon as I got out of the shadows, it was kind of scary, and my arms started sweating. So even when I was trying to do the deadlifts on the first penalty, my back was getting sore, and then I'm picking them up with kind of sweaty hands and struggling to get around at all. So to be fair to the climate, I think the main problem was my lack of grip endurance rather than the sweat I struggled.
Yeah, I know we spoke last week about you wondering if it would be aerobically an issue, and I was adamant it was going to be a muscular issue. I'm assuming that was the case.
Oh, completely. Yeah, my legs felt fine. Yeah. Aerobically, I was fine. And everything was a piece of cake for the first 50 to 80 meters, and then just in the space of about 20 yards, my forearms were like, "Oh, you're not putting them down? Well, you're gonna." So, yeah. I did the 400 meters, but because of my back didn't feel great with the deadlifts, I'd just done a load of squats and whatnot. So I opted out of the penalty zone, and I did the 400 meters. It took me about 7 minutes, so I did it. It just not as well as I'd hoped.
Yeah. So you sort of completed it mostly. I think we were talking earlier, and you said you did 9 reps for one of the penalties.
I'm like, I can't do it. Can't do it.
So you lost the mental and the perspiration battle then?
I would like to think I lost the back and the perspiration and the forearm grip battle. I don't like to think I lost the mental battle. Maybe I did.
Not like you did against the infamous guy in red anyway.
Oh, just I could have nightmares about
I think we spoke about I think we spoke about that in episode 1 or 2. If you know what the guy in red is, then you know what the guy in red is.
Yeah, that will haunt me. That's never happening again. It can't happen again. I can't lose wall balls to a guy I've been level with for 94 wall balls. Cannot ever happen again. What have we got this week for WoW?
So this week for the week in workouts, we have a running threshold.
We should leave that in. Running threshold. Love it. This week for our Hyrox workout, we have a running threshold. You've got no shot of getting through this now.
Bloopers aside. This week for our workout, we have a running threshold workout. It is going to be 7 to 15 minutes of warm-up on the treadmill, ascending in pace ideally, into 4 sets of 9 minutes at threshold pace. Threshold pace aiming to be at around that 7 to 8 out of 10 in terms of effort, but mainly if you're more familiar with your runnings, a pace you could hold for around an hour. It is going to be 4 sets of those with 9 minutes. In between each set is going to be a minute and 48 seconds rest. After you've completed the 4 sets of 9 minutes, you're then going to take a slightly shorter 60-second rest and then go into a 2-kilometer ski at your race pace, which for me was around a 146.5 per 500, resulting in a 7:04, 7:05 total 2K ski time, with my threshold being around 3:41 on the treadmill.
So what was your total time for the WOW?
Total time, not sure. All I'm going to get you guys to focus on, all I'm going to get them to focus on is going to be the pace at which they're running at and the total 2K time at the end. So 3:41 for each of my pace averages on the treadmill and 7:05 for my ski time.
Right. Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then that takes us to end of that abbreviated first section of this week's pod, and we'll go now into the interview that I did with Jay Curtis of Deadly Dozen. Thank you much for listening. I've been Paul Reynolds.
I've been Jude Reynolds.
Speak to you soon. Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be joined today by Jay Curtis, founder and CEO of Deadly Dozen. Welcome, Jay.
Hi, thanks for having me, Paul.
You're very welcome. It's great to have you here. I've been very interested listening to your new podcast, talking about Deadly Dozen, covering some of the history of it and history of you and where you've come from and how you got to where you are. So maybe it'd be handy to kick off just by taking us through a little bit of perhaps your army background and what happened after that and how that segued into starting up this massive sport.
Yeah, so to start, basically brief history is I've always been involved in sport and specifically combat sports. Being young, wasn't going to go anywhere special, but enjoyed it. Joined the army at around 18, 19 with the aspirations of becoming a physical training instructor in the army, but you can't join as a PTI, as you call them, in the army. You can in the RAF. So I joined the infantry and did all the infantry stuff and became a PTI within a year of serving. And you usually do both roles. So in the military, you can be a rifleman, machine gunner, sniper platoon, whatever it is, while still working as a PTI up to about corporal. And then what you can do then is you can actually transfer to what's called the PT Corps and you become a sergeant, or you can carry on with your sort of career in the infantry. But once you promote to sergeant, you wouldn't necessarily carry on doing your role as a physical training instructor. So I loved being a PTI and also being a soldier. Last 2.5 years in the military, I got posted to Catterick where they train the infantry recruits, and I spent 2.5 years there training the recruits. Fantastic job. But years prior to that, I knew that I wanted to get out. I always thought I want to be in the army, I want to be a soldier, I want to experience that. I always knew I wanted to have a gym. When I was very young, because I was into Bruce Lee and martial arts and, did a lot of Thai boxing, I wanted my gym to be more of like a combat gym with a ring. Even though I watched Pride, it was back when I was young, I'm only in my mid-30s, there wasn't as much jiu-jitsu and stuff. It wasn't as much MMA. It was more like sort of striking, K1, stuff like that. So I wanted a ring and I wanted weights and I wanted all the sort of battle ropes and stuff like that we used to have in boxing gyms, old school sort of training. But obviously, while I was in the military, I learned a lot about strength and conditioning, a lot about physical training, did personal training quals, all that sort of stuff, sports therapy qualifications. I then left the military in 2015, started running boot camps in parks and stuff like that. And eventually it led to me getting investment off a client, so private investment to start a gym, a strength and conditioning gym, which I've now owned for 10 years. During that time, I sort of wrote and published, a couple of dozen books on strength training, Olympic weightlifting, warming up. I started an academy, strengthandconditioningcourse.com, where we qualify personal trainers and strength and conditioning coaches. And then in the final sort of last few years, you know, prior to this, what was sort of my sort of origin into, or my journey into fitness racing, was I went from being like a combat sports guy, lots of running, cross-country team in the military, you know, skinny runner, to leaning into weightlifting and powerlifting and stuff like that. You know, wanted to get bigger, because I always had in my head, you know, you can't be a skinny strength coach. So I lent into the strength training side, and then started to realise I was missing out on the cardio, got back into sort of mixed modality, hybrid fitness as they call it, you know, and from there decided that after looking at Hyrox, looking at CrossFit, I wrote a book which I've actually just signed with an agent to be hopefully get published next year on fitness racing. Studied what is fitness racing and thought, you know what, I can create the most scalable fitness race in the world that makes absolute sense and works the fundamental movements. And basically my goal was to create the ultimate fitness race that would take over the world. And that's me being an absolute dreamer. Realistically, deep down, didn't think it was going to happen, like as in, you know, 50 people might turn up. But obviously it's grown beyond what I could ever, you know, comprehend, really. So that's the journey so far, in a fairly short but not too short sort of summary.
So that kind of hits the next question, which is going to be what your aim was. And you just said to create the most scalable fitness race that covers all the essential movements and take over the world. But that's, you know, presumably a separate issue.
Yeah, taking over the world world domination is separate. That's the pinky in the brain. But what I realised was, when I was looking at Hyrox, and there was no criticism to any other race, there's no criticism to CrossFit. You look at CrossFit and you hear some people say, oh, well, you should have just done simple movements. But what makes CrossFit is the complexity.
Yes.
Is the fact they have gymnastics, is the fact they have weightlifting. What makes Hyrox is it has the wall balls at the end. You know, right. DEKA is DEKA because it has the air bike and the rams, right? These are things that people might say, I could improve on that, but it's like, what they are. And that's what makes them beautiful in a sense, right? But I thought, well, what's the kit everyone has? It's kettlebells, dumbbells, and weight plates, right? What are the movements that we teach youth athletes and just general folk? We teach them to do a bodyweight squat, then we give them a kettlebell and we do a goblet squat. You do some bodyweight lunges, then you do walking lunges with a pair of dumbbells. You know, you might do a weight plate ground to overhead, and we call it a clean and press, a dumbbell snatch, you know, a dumbbell push press, just simple stuff, right? Simple stuff done for high reps, so there's no strength barrier to entry. Really, obviously there has to be some barrier, but there's no major barrier to entry, but the reps are high that it's going to absolutely be incredibly hard for anyone that pushes it. Then from there I was thinking, what's the perfect distance? Is 400 meters. It's the longest sprint. It's once round a track. There was a little bit more of a journey to this, where actually I was going to do it at the park opposite, and it had just so happened to be a 400 meter loop. I used to develop my 5k time when I was a runner, more of a runner, by doing 12 by 400. That was my go-to workout. And basically, so I looked at fitness racing as a sport, and the whole umbrella from, you know, where it came from OCR and different events, and you've got ATHX and you've got Battle Cancer, you've got CrossFit and Hyrox and all these different things. And I just thought, how do I produce a race that can literally scale faster than any other race in the world? So what are the problems that Hyrox face with venues and stuff like that? What are the problem that DEKA might have that gyms don't have the equipment? So from the get-go, the whole race was designed to be almost like the most, I don't always like the term functional, but the most functional, a race that makes sense to people, a race that everyone can do, everyone worldwide can train for, no matter what their sort of economic state is, you know, like even if you just had a pair of kettlebells, or you had a weight plate, you could train pretty well for this event. And that was the point. And obviously, starting to do more and more research, right? There's probably over 100,000 athletics tracks worldwide. They're purpose-built arenas. And that was it. And I knew that, you know what, I was onto something here, because when I released it, the messages from all over the world, like you name a country, I guarantee I got a message from someone in that country saying, when's it coming here? And that was the point where I think I'm onto something here.
And you're actually in 16 countries now, right? Or is that's what the website has been saying?
If I list, so we're in Canada, USA, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, We're in UK, obviously, which you got France, Wales, Scotland, England. We need to get to
France
Ireland.
should be part of the UK, but that's still a dispute we're having. We're going
Yeah,
to Normandy again soon, I think.
We should have pushed a little bit harder, shouldn't we? We've just signed for France, Benelux. So I like the term Benelux, which is Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg.
Yeah.
We've got Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. We've got Australia. We've got New Zealand, we've got South Africa, we've got the UAE, and I think that's covered most of them. So yeah, we're between 15 and 20 countries, and at this rate, I think next year, especially now we've announced world champs and stuff like that, I think we can, within the next 12 months, we can bump that up to between 30 and 50 countries, and I think in the next 2 years we can be between 50 and 100 countries.
So when you say take over the world, you weren't actually kidding.
No, I genuinely believe and that's it. And then all of a sudden we arm them, and it's no. So what we do is, I realise that there's going to be certain locations that Hyrox never goes, and that's not Hyrox's fault. Right. It's a bigger race. It's
by design.
20,000 people by design. Yeah, and that will leave the way we see Hyrox, or I see Hyrox, is it might always be seen as that big ticket race, which is like it might be the race at the end of the year that someone does. And there's thousands of people there, and it's a big stage. Now, say they're in Singapore. Now, you've got all the areas in, Southeast Asia and around these smaller countries, wherever they may be, or even Central Africa and stuff, where Hyrox isn't going to get there. But they might be in the larger cities around them areas. Now, Deadly Dozen can get to all of them. We are not just going to be in the major cities. Our directors in the different countries, their aim is to go to small towns. So in South Africa, there's 12 races a year. In New Zealand, they're running 12 races a year. They're planning to get to not just the big cities, but also the smaller towns. Our plan in the UK, we've got 24 races next year. So we want to be literally everywhere, where the concept is almost like, you imagine that you're never more than a couple of hours away from a Deadly Dozen, and there's always a Deadly Dozen somewhere. If there's a track near you, chances are there might be their Deadly Dozen there one day. And on top of that, we've got the gym races. Because we don't use any specialist kit, you've got Deadly Strong, which is just the labours, Deadly Row, Deadly Ski, Deadly Bike, Deadly Air Bike, and obviously we've got the Deadly Ergs, which mix up the different ergs.
I was going to say, one of your differentiators, isn't it, is that Hyrox is Hyrox, but there are literally 11 different Deadly Dozen races.
Formats. So the main event is the Deadly Run, which is the track race, and that's the main event. That's like 20 to 50 times what a gym race is realistically going to be in both budget and photography, videographers, right? But then you've also got the 7 gym races, the official gym races. So you've got Erg 2, and then you've got Row, Ski, Bike, Erg, and Air Bike. You've got the DFT, so the Deadly Fitness Test. You've also got track challenges like the Deadly Mile and Deadly Ruck, which is obviously the weight vest or ruck. We've got Deadly Swim, which is obviously usually going to be a special edition race done on a beach. We just work off say run to row ratio is 1-to-1, like 400 meter run, 400 meter row, 400 meter ski. On the bike, it'd be 800 meters. On a swim, it'd be 4-to-1, so it'd be like a 100 meter swim, 50 meters out, 50 meter back. So we've got what we can call like special edition races, but we've got official gym races that gyms around the world can run. And it's a fantastic revenue stream for them. We have a payment system that pays them monthly. So if a gym were to sign up as an affiliate, they could book 12 races next year, one a month. Now, all the ticket sales for all 12 of their races, so they can't run the track race, but the track races cost considerably more than people expected. The infrastructure and logistics involved in the track race, although we are a bit of a flat pack fitness race and we can set up in a matter of hours, not days.
Right.
It's far more labour intensive than people realise. But these gyms can set up 12 events for next year, work through the different events. Our system will pay them into their bank account every month. So in January, even if they've not done a comp and they've got 12 comps coming up and they sell 20 tickets for each event, so they sell 240 tickets, then they get all the revenue the next month. So it's a fantastic revenue stream for gyms. So we not only want dozens of track races in over 100 countries, which might end up being 1,000 track races a year, 1,000 people a race. You've got 1 million races there. But we also want between 2028 and 2030, we want between 5 and 10,000 affiliates that might be running 3, 4, 5, 10 events a year, all of a sudden you've got tens of thousands of gym races. We've got a global leaderboard. We've got a tech team that are developing apps to do live results. So we want all of our results for the track races are live. So you can watch the race live. We want them uploaded to our leaderboard where it compares every race worldwide within 24 hours. We want the results for every single track gym race to be up within 24 hours. However, what we're working on is instantaneous results for every single track and gym race worldwide. On track days, so our track races, it's instant. You go on the website, your results are live on the website, right? The timing companies put it live. When it's a gym race where you've got people right now writing the times on scorecards, so you're in a gym anywhere in the world that's a gym affiliate for Deadly Dozen, they write the scores on a scorecard, put it in a spreadsheet that we provide them, and that gets uploaded to our results. And we make sure that we have the team to facilitate that within 24 hours. Things we're working on is like apps that will send them results live. So basically, as the judge is doing them and clicking them, it's all going to go. So one thing we're investing heavily in is I believe we can be the biggest gym race company in the world because of how many variations we've got and how accessible the kit is.
Right.
But in terms of the main event, which is the track race, there's 100,000 tracks circa worldwide. We know we can identify pretty much there's going to be an entrepreneur that's into fitness racing in every country worldwide that's accessible. Like there's going to be some countries that we can't get to for obvious reasons. Maybe we do get into North Korea or somewhere. But at the end of the day,
you might need that Deadly Dozen global army first, then we can have a race in North Korea.
Yeah. And then go in and say, we're having one. We're having one.
We don't want to annex your territory. We just want to race.
Just want a Deadly Dozen. Yeah. So we've got the infrastructure to expand exponentially, which is costing me a fortune. Luckily, we have seen early success, but I've just thrown it all back in to go, right, how do we produce what is going to be an absolute behemoth globally?
So you've got the Jeff Bezos 1995 approach. It's like, I don't want profits. I want all the money to go ploughing back in to make this thing bigger.
Yeah,
without wishing to liken you to Jeff Bezos, but it reminds me of his whole thing. Why everyone's saying, why are they making no profits? Lord, because he throws everything straight back in again because he doesn't want a bookshop, and most people forget that it was just a bookshop, and we thought, oh, that's a nice bookshop, and now it's everything, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's to an extent, whereas in all honesty, it's quite scary. People. It's even having a meeting with my accountant yesterday was like, you should have a lot more money. The way you've been working for the last 10 years, because she's been my accountant since setting up the gym.
Right.
She was like, you should have more. She was like, she basically said, she goes, are you happy with everything? Like, because she does a bit of mentorship. And I was like, brilliant. Like, this is expanding. We're going. And I was asking her about setting up companies in different countries, doing different things. And she was like, getting a bit worried at times, I think.
And I'm sure she took a dim view of the prize money, 60 grand at the UK's and 120 at the world. I'm sure she didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have said to me, they're like, "Oh, are you sure that's wise?" And actually, it's and it's not sponsors either. That's been put forward by us.
That's why I'm asking. Yeah.
So I've got to earn it now, basically. Yeah. But no, it's definitely the right move because already we've had agents reach out, for sponsorships where they've gone, look, we've seen what you're doing at the Worlds and you're obviously going to pull in some major talent and we're getting noticed. We're at that point where realistically big sponsorship deals are what will make the difference now where, you get a Nike, Adidas, a Red Bull, you get the big players coming and going. I mean, not to be thingy, but it's right now is the time for a big brand to get in and go, we're going to back this. These guys they're urban, gritty, the grassroots, they're on tracks. It's been built off a shoestring budget. It's like literally built off ticket sales, no investment. I'm like the sole owner of the company, built a team, spending a fortune, building a team that, more than we can afford essentially. And growing and growing and growing. And now's the time for a big brand to go, these guys probably are going to get a lot bigger, and now's the time to get like a really good deal and be able to be part of it. I was just going
to say, they can get a decent deal off you right now that they probably couldn't get in 6 months' time and won't get in 6 months' time.
Oh, absolutely. And also, I've got to be very careful. I actually had someone today that, complete. I won't mention the company, but they were offering something, a product, and I just looked into the reach. So my background's S&C, so it's not just Deadly Dozen's reputation; it's also my reputation as an S&C coach and as an author. And the product, there's nothing wrong with the product, but the product doesn't have any scientific evidence behind it. And I was just like, there's no literature to say this has any sort of benefit whatsoever. Scientific literature. So I was just like, no, like I can't. Even if it was a 6-figure, 7-figure deal, I'd say no, because it's not the right product. I come from in the latter days of the military, there was a lot of lads that were getting into, and I say lads because the infantry was all men at the time, and there was loads of guys getting into like multi-level marketing things, and everyone was trying to get me in. And then especially when I started to develop my academy and it got a bit of followers, everyone was reaching out to me. And one thing I've never done is be like, I will never promote anything. So don't get me wrong, when it comes to, people might say this when it comes to energy drinks. Now, energy drinks by a lot of people are seen as like unhealthy and stuff like that, or they have views on energy drinks. Now, the bottom line is things like Red Bull are massive within like extreme sports like this. So yes, we will have a supplement partner. The likelihood is if a big energy drink like Monster or Red Bull came along, you wouldn't turn that down, regardless of whether someone says, should you be drinking multiple cans of Red Bull a day? But even when it comes to like confectionery or certain things, like after a race, if someone said to me in the new gym, when you have vending machines, will you have chocolate? I'm like, well, if someone's done a race and they want a boost bar, they can have one. You know what I mean? I've got the academics around me, like really good high level, PhD level guys that I've worked with, that I will just say, if they go, that's bullshit, we will not push it, because I think you've got to have integrity of a brand.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be a major issue for us.
You lose that and you wouldn't get it back again. You might get a bit of money, a couple of months sooner, but then you wouldn't get the reputation back once it's gone, not for years. So that's pretty cool. I wonder if you could back up for us. You talked about one of the key differentiators for you of making it the most scalable thing, and like, what does everyone have in a gym already that we can use and turn into a race? I mean, could you take us through what exactly a Deadly Dozen race is? The main stadium race or the main track race? What does it consist of?
So the 12 labours are always the same, no matter what race you're doing. And the DFT, so the Deadly Fitness Test, is just the rep labours. So it's just half the race, essentially. So the way the Deadly Dozen works in format is you do a 400-metre run, and then it's the station, run, station, run, station. So it's that Hyrox model. There's no doubt that we've been inspired by that, and we're standing on the shoulder giants. So you've done your first 400-metre run. What happens with the labours then, and they're called labours because 12 labours are Hercules, whether you think that's cool or not, it's there. And so what they do is they alternate between distance labours and rep labours. So the first one is moving between a 30-metre distance, and then the second one is reps, 60 repetitions. Then the third one is movement. So they alternate like that. So you go through farmer's carry, and everything's duodecimal, so dozen or based off 12, except for the last exercise, which is devil press, which I wanted to sort of change to decimal. Only 2 people have ever noticed that. The geeks amongst us. So 240 metres farmer's carry. Then you go on to kettlebell deadlift for 60 reps. Then you go on to dumbbell lunge for 60 meters. Then you go on to dumbbell snatch for 60 reps. And then you go on to burpee broad jump for 60 meters. Then goblet squat, kettlebell goblet squat for 60 reps. Weight plate front carry for 240 meters. Then we're on to dumbbell push press for 60 reps. Bear crawl for 120 meters. Then we've got weight plate clean and press for 60 reps, weight plate overhead carry for 180 meters, and dumbbell devil press for 20 reps, and then you run across the finish line. So you've already done your final run before the devil press. So that's 12 labours. And what I wanted within them 12 labours was 3 carries, your standard farmer's carry, a front carry like a baby carry, and an overhead carry. I wanted to make sure we had squatting, lunging, deadlifting, sort of nod to the 2 Olympic lifts, so clean and press and snatch. I wanted to make sure that we had, what else is in there? 2 bodyweight exercise. Obviously, burpee broad jumps become infamous in fitness racing. Bear crawl is just something no one else was really doing that I could see. But I know it's just a horrific exercise. No matter how you do it, whether your hips are high or low, it's going to get you really hard. So the way I structured the race as well is I wanted it to be quite grip intensive to start, but also quite leg intensive. The second half of the race, I wanted to really push overhead work. So you can see that it's like push press, bear crawl's going to get your shoulders, but then it's clean and press, overhead carry, then it's devil press. And the idea was that fitness races are always going to be leg heavy. So when it comes to compromised running, it's running and sleds and running and lunging. But fundamentally, I wanted the race to feel different. I wanted to create the race, which to me was the first fitness race outside of CrossFit that might have a real strength emphasis, where the balance was there, where you can approach Deadly Dozen and go, you know what, I'm going to put the same effort into the run as I will the labours and sort of have a balanced race. But you can also have people that will come and go, I'm going to take it easier on the labours and get through them, but I'm going to push them runs really hard. And you can have someone that goes, I'm going to push the labours really hard and coast. Did I just say it the other way? If I got it the right way. So you can either push the labours or the run. And that is actually balanced, because right now, even though I used to be quite a good runner, I'm not a particularly good runner now because I spent years doing that and I've just not put the effort into my running. So you can have guys that are 22-minute 5Kers, let's say, which isn't a bad time, but it's not like a 15, 16-minute time like a lot of these fast hybrid guys. And when I say guys, I mean men and women. And they'll beat the 15-minute 5Kers. And vice versa in different ways. Because Deadly Dozen is really balanced between muscular endurance and essentially aerobic power and speed. And this is no criticism to Hyrox DEKA. Let's comparing these three races. Hyrox has no doubt that you've got to be so good at running.
Yes.
Like, you've got to be such a good K runner. And what I learned with DEKA is you've got to be so fast at them 500s. Like, the key to that DEKA, if I go, I'm going to go and do it again. So I got 38, which I wasn't that happy with. I loved the race, but I can definitely get to 35. I mean, your Jude was rapid. But it's I just think that it wasn't about the stations, it was about the running. You had to run really hard. Now, Deadly, you have to run hard, but I'm really, really happy with how Deadly Dozen has turned out, that it's so balanced between what is so the backbone to me of fitness racing is strength and aerobic capacity. On top of them is aerobic power and muscular endurance. They're the two performance qualities that are fundamentally what you're working during a race.
Right. And having a 400-meter track, you presumably therefore do the Deadly races kind of seasonally, at least in the UK, do you?
Yeah, so UK season is April through to September. Just because the grass in the middle can get a bit boggy, but I think we can do winter races with 4G pitches potentially, and whether we do that, we might. In Texas, they do them year round. In South Africa, they do them year round. So there's Deadly Dozens year round and different seasons. So the UAE Middle East season will be obviously the winter. It'll be November, December, January, February, March, which fits perfectly with the UK season. Australia will be slightly different. And also, as we get into Asia, there might be sort of wet seasons and there might be stormy periods. So there's going to be different seasons all around the world. But the way it's going to work with championships is we want national championships to be early in the year, from January through to May. So the UK champs is end of May. So is the US champs. The African champs is in February. The world champs is going to be end of September. And the idea, and that will move around the world. And then the invitationals that's going to be in the Middle East is going to be in November, December every year, which is where we invite the sort of best athletes from around the world from different sports to do an invitational. So the way that works is all races will qualify. And there's a con to that, which is we need to make sure standards. But the flip side is it gamifies the whole race. So we have a global leaderboard. Every single race you turn up to, track race, is a qualifier. And the top times on the leaderboard qualify for the championship races. And therefore, we'll have a championship tab where you'll be highlighted if you're qualifying. But if you're in that last spot and there's 2 more races left, someone might bump you out of that slot. So you've got to race more. So it's a constant live sort of leaderboard for who's going to the championship. And then once it gets to a certain cut-off date, that will lock in then, and they're the qualifiers. So the last chance to qualify for the UK champs will be through the April races next year.
Yep.
All races that we've done so far qualify for the UK champs. The cut-off for world champs will be the 1st of June. So every race leading up to the 1st of June, will potentially qualify will qualify you for the world champs, and you've just got to be up there within your age category.
So, for example, someone in the UK racing in May and posting a global leading time won't be eligible for that month's UK championships, but they can qualify for the September Worlds theoretically.
Yeah. So that they could qualify for the Worlds, and also obviously they'd then be qualifying for
the following
next year's
UK, right,
national champs. Yeah,
right. So hitting that subject then about kind of standards and consistency. I know you've spoken on a podcast recently where concerns were expressed about some of the movements and whether, for example, people doing full extension on snatches. And then you mentioned that not only are you kind of focusing on a lot more judges, but you're actually looking at paying judges, which is not something that we see elsewhere in the industry. So how are you trying to ensure standards, given that you're now doing championships? Has been catching all kinds of flack, especially about wall ball standards. I mean, people are concerned about judging consistency and why we're getting penalised. But the big thing is depth in the wall balls. Whereas for you, with a lot of overhead stuff, it seems to be, are we actually getting the full extension on the overhead work properly? How are you going to balance the growing desire for consistency and rigour on that, given your desire to make this a very global participative sport, not just a highly competitive sport?
Yeah, so it's going to be really difficult. And the first thing is that there has to be a level of pragmatism. But the bottom line is, I can honestly say that fitness racing, if you're getting thousands and thousands of people coming, and me being an S&C coach for a long time now and owning a gym, Hyrox will never have perfect wall balls. No. Never. No. Right? It will be expected at the elite level. So the elite 15 will be like, if they're not doing it right, they need questioning, not the judges. Like, why are you elite 15 and you're not doing your wall balls right? And that's the sort of culture that you need to develop in fitness racing at the elite level. But across the board, there will always be people that will never get even to parallel, right? And there'll be judges there that will go, you know what, this person is never getting there. And there'll be a human element.
Yeah.
There's also a level that people do not see the no reps and people do not see the warnings. But the way that people move, I said to a very experienced S&C coach that I work with, and he said it stuck with him. I said, people move in funky ways. And the expectation that everyone moves well, like, so you think that everyone can basically put their hands on the floor with bent knees? They can't. They have to fall down to get into a burpee position. They have to literally fall, some people, right? Especially if they're very heavy to the front. And if you want an activity that is for everyone, that it bothers their ass to get fit enough to do it, then you are going to see a vast array of standards. That there needs to be a minimum standard. So if I went to Hyrox, DEKA or Deadly Dozen with a phone and went, right, I'm just going to try and find the worst movements going, you're always going to find some of it in fitness racing.
Yeah.
Now, the bottom line is, we need to maintain like a sort of minimum standard across the board, because it's not just important for elites. It's important for, even if I'm in the bottom third of the race, well, it's important to me to not have someone next to me that's at my level beating me to 120th place because they cheated or they didn't do a rep properly, right? So we have to enforce a standard. And the way in which we do that is you need more judges. Now, people say, oh, they're volunteers. Every judge that we have volunteer costs us £100 because of feeding them. We give them an Amazon voucher and stuff like that. The head judges, we're going to pay £200. And then we have people above them that get paid £300 and £400, like staff members and stuff like that. So, you know, I've had someone say to me, how much does it cost you to run a track race? Like 4 or 5 grand? It costs us 10 grand for the volunteers, for the judges, for a race. And you've got to think we're not pulling in what Hyrox pulls in on a race. You know, it's not even like a 0.1% of it, for example. So the solution is people also think it's education, and it's not education. Don't get me wrong, it's really annoying when judges don't know, or they get the reps wrong, or they think that they can't change at the bottom, right? So that's annoying. And judges, we do need to educate judges, and we need to get the best judges we can. What the problem is having the confidence to stop someone and having the confidence to no rep someone. And the type of people that volunteer, even if it's paid as well, to do judging, tend to be really lovely, nice people. But when you've got some tattooed fitness racer that's like 6'1" and comes running through onto push press and starts repping out to death but isn't quite extending, and you've got, you know, a middle-aged man or woman stood there and they're going to go no rep, no rep, no rep, and the person goes that what, and you do get a little bit. It requires confidence, and also a lot of these racers, when we spoke to the top guys, men and women, they don't realise they're not quite extending because they're going fast.
Right.
And the one downfall of Deadly Dozen is it's a load of movements that involve extension of the hips, knees, and elbows, and that's going to be a lot of people rushing. I look back at the other day they posted a video of me. I wasn't fully extended on the squat, and people picked it up, and I was like, no, you're right, I wasn't. But I did get no reps a few times, and I did get warned, and I started doing it because you rush. So what we have to do is when you're what we've realised as well is when you're counting, and we think that first and foremost, if you've paid to be at a race, you should be counted. At no point should you ever be counting your own reps, right? Everyone should be accountable. So at no point should you be doing 60 goblet squats and the person next to you is not being counted and potentially could lose count or intentionally do less. So that's number one. You should always be counted. And actually, it's quite hard to get the amount that we need for a race.
Okay. Yeah.
What we've realised is the key is when you're counting someone, we have clickers. They can't interact as much while they're counting. Sounds silly, but it's just true. And anyone that criticises that, come and do some judging. So what you need is head judges that stand there and are the hard asses that are solely focused on standards. So on each labour lane, there's 12 labours. There's a head judge on each one, and they are solely focused on form. So the counters are there and they're no repping, and they are also focused on form, but there's a head judge that's there, and that's an experienced head judge that has done several events, is getting paid. So actual money, not a voucher, not a free ticket. They're getting paid to be a head judge. And obviously this is going to cost us, it costs us quite a bit of money, but that's what we need to do. But just going back to what I was saying earlier again, there's always going to be a certain level of people that can't quite do the movements. And it's very easy for people to take pictures of that and film things without context. And often I think that can be very negative to sport, because think about how many people are doing fitness racing. It's intimidating to them. And then there's videos being posted and it's like, we've got a guy at the gym that's doing the next race. He's got 2 hip replacements. He can't squat past quarter depth, right? He can't touch his knee on the floor. And it's like, come and get through the race and, have a good time. Now, if someone films him and has no context that guy has informed the entire race team and then puts on social media, they're an arsehole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there has to be context. If it's an elite athlete and they're getting through, criticise as much as you want. So we had we had some of the best athletes going. They're beating people by minutes. They are world-class athletes. Your Jude went against him. There was a few reps where there wasn't extension, and there was a lot of no reps and there was a lot of warnings, but the standards could have been even better. And we need to keep pushing that. Now, one thing I'll say is we are if you say to me what's more important to you, elite sport or global participation, have fun, great activity like parkrun, I'd say that's first. Right. However, to be taken seriously and also there's nothing worse than you work hard and you think someone else is cheating or not doing it. And so we need to just do better. And it's not going to happen overnight. I've had to scrape my number from the internet. People don't realise how much I get messaged is unbelievable. But on a regular basis, I get told that, can I give you a little bit of advice? And I go, go on. And they go, you've got to improve standards. And I'm like, yeah, we literally have a meeting about it every single week. And we have full-time staff now that work on finding judges. Because when you run an event in Bristol, trying to find 60 volunteers, and paying them, is not easy. And people think it is, but it's not. And especially when you're running 24 races next year and you need 72 judges at each one is what we want to do it really, really well. It's not easy. So we've got to be realistic, but we've just got to keep getting better, basically. Cool. Throw a bit of money at it, throw a bit of time.
Money and time and patience from everyone else, perhaps. So a couple of things then to close, Jay, please. I've got 2 categories of person I'm thinking of. One is fitness racing. That might be interesting. Second category of person is, Hyrox. I like doing Hyrox, and I'm happy with Hyrox. What's kind of your pitch to those 2 groups for Deadly Dozen?
So for someone that's just interested in fitness racing and wants to give it a go, is my motto is, take the leap and grow the wings on the way down. Dive in head first. So sign up for a race. Don't. It's like booking a holiday. You'll make it work, won't you? And it's just book the race. Nike. I have said this a few times. Nike's got the best tagline in the world. They just have. Just do it. So before you even think about it, book it, and then you're accountable. Book it. Tell as many people as you can that you're doing it, because then you're even more accountable. Tell your mum, tell your nan, tell all your friends that you're doing a deadly dozen. So when you decide that you're not going to do it, you look stupid. So that's the key: is throw yourself in, because everyone can do it. You just got to get fit. Obviously, there are injuries and ailments, so we will accommodate to any injury and ailment that we can. First and foremost, we are a positive activity, fitness, health, wellness. If you think you can get around a deadly dozen, you have to make modifications. Make what modifications, and we will work with you. But yeah, if you're healthy and you can do all the movements, there's absolutely no reason you can't do a deadly dozen, because it's like a circuit session. At the end of the day, it's as hard as you want it to be. If you run them 400s hard and go as hard as you can on labours, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. If you want to walk the runs and get through the labours, it's still going to be hard. Might take you a couple of hours, but it's doable. It can be for any other race. If you think about doing a Hyrox, just sign up. Just do it if you can get a ticket. Just sign up. And then make it work after. That's the way to do it. Is throw yourself in and then make it work. It's that's the key. When it comes to Hyroxes, and obviously I understand. I'm someone that finds like a dog with a bone. I find what I like and I get into it and I get obsessed about it. That's why I've read Lord of the Rings like 20 times. I've read the Silmarillion 11 times. If I play a game, I play that one game. If I do, I'm not much of a gamer, but if I do something, I do it a lot. And it can actually be negative within my training, because I do too much of something, get repetitive strain injury, and then I'm like, oh, probably shouldn't have done that 50 times. And I understand why people will buy into Hyrox, and the brand is so good. It's like CrossFit. You become so married to that. However, my advice as an S&C coach, and this is what we say to like young athletes, is do as many sports as you can. Don't specialise early. And if you want to be the best fitness racer you can and you want to not burn out, and don't get me wrong, like in the first year or two, there's like a honeymoon period to relationships. There's the same in sport and physical activity. There's a honeymoon period where it's like, and there can be shorter periods of motivation where you'll run every day for 2 weeks and then you'll get a knee injury and burn out. And the key to longevity is variety. Variety is the spice of life. So if you want to be the best fitness racer you could be, I would build a 12-month program where I'd sprinkle in different races, and you will enjoy Hyrox more as a result of that. If you just do Hyrox, you will eventually burn out. I guarantee it. And if you go and do like a DEKA, or you go and do it, and even if you don't enjoy the DEKA as much, or you don't enjoy the deadly as much, you'll enjoy Hyrox more as a result of that. You will be fitter. You will work different training methodologies. You will target different components of fitness in ways that you haven't before, because you'll do a DEKA and realise, I need to be even faster. I'm going to do more 400s on the track. So it'll motivate you in different ways. And you'll do a deadly dozen and go, you know what, them goblet squats absolutely spanked me. And the push press, you'll do more of them. It'll make you better at wall balls. And variety is really the spice. It'll reduce your risk of injury. It just... as a whole, people will often throw out that term like bulletproof, reduce the risk of injury, and there's not always science behind that. But fundamentally, mixing up what you do is generally a positive thing, because it's all gearing towards the same thing. But it makes absolute sense in your fitness racing season to have, right, I'm going to do some of these A races, these B races, these C races. I'm going to do some deadly dozens. That might not be as important to you. The big Hyrox is important. But this is an ideal time to motivate me for some more speed work, because I know deadly is going to be a little bit faster. And then I'm going to do, other races. And
yeah, and that's definitely something that Jude follows on, because he's been keen on getting involved in a number of different races, which kind of brings me to my final question, which is how you view the other fitness events. Now, from the answer you've just given me now, you're quite in favour of people doing multiple different events anyway. You don't particularly want people just being, I only do deadly dozen necessarily, if they've got time to do other things as well. Something I haven't seen before, seeing at the weekend and kind of your socials after that, is the CEO of one sport or event taking part in another and talking very positively about it, and then offering to do a doubles with the CEO of another sport.
Yeah.
Is that just an instinctive thing, or something you think, actually, I think this is good generally?
No, I think it's like I want to do all the races and different ones, and I actually was speaking to Yancey, who set up, DEKA off the back of Spartan, and we were chatting, and we're gonna, I'm gonna fly out to the States to meet him and do a Deadly Dozen together, and I'll happily do a DEKA with him and do a podcast episode together and stuff like that. So yeah, I just think that, don't get me wrong, people sometimes are a little bit naive with business. Like, we're all businesses, and we're all, if Deadly Dozen and DEKA have an event on the same day, I'll take some of the guys that might have done DEKA, and they'll take some of the guys that might have done Deadly. But at the end of the day, if you're a big enough fish, it doesn't matter, and concentrate on your own grass in a positive way. If you have a good product and you're confident in what you do, you don't really have to worry about the other guys. And actually, what you'll benefit from most is having really good, healthy relationship with them, and that can include banter about business and this and that, and that's all healthy banter. But the bottom line is, the more that we elevate the sport of fitness racing, the better it's going to be. Us putting prize money forwards will encourage other events to put more prize money, which is better for the athletes. I'm going to a fitness race at the local leisure centre. So that's one of the tracks we go to. It's the home. So Macclesfield Leisure Centre have an event called Train Games. I'm going to that, and I think it's fantastic, because now you're getting all these public sector leisure centres that are doing little fitness races. It's just building the infrastructure, the community that is fitness racing, and it's getting people into this hybrid sport, this gym sport, and it's growing it, and you're going to get more novices, more young people coming through that will filter through for the bigger races. And I always like to, this is what I was saying to Emily, who runs sort of DEKA internationally, and I was saying, like, my aim really was to be, you had Hyrox, DEKA, Deadly Dozen, 8, 10, 12, and every other fitness race then is just a mashup of the big three, and I'm calling it the big three and including myself, which is a bit getting above my station. But everything now, what we're seeing, and this isn't a criticism, because there's a market for it, because Hyrox is so huge. To me, most of the fitness races I see now, which is not a bad thing, like I say, they are what they are Hyrox spin-offs.
Yes.
They're basically a Hyrox mixed up, right? Which is great, because there's a market for it. But fundamentally, DEKA, one thing I really respect about DEKA is they chose exercises that, like, no one had that kit. It's like a tank and a ram.
Right.
It's very brave decisions, not one.
Right, because it's a limiter, right? In a way that you've deliberately avoided.
Exactly.
It's a limit to their scalability.
But I massively respect that they've got a race that's so different. And Hyrox come in, and they were like, they took what was CrossFit and went, let's make it more accessible, and let's make it like a race. Let's make it like a half marathon. They've the innovation that what they've achieved there is unbelievable. They've released Manchester, and people take the day off on a Wednesday to go do it. Like, no questions asked.
Yep.
It's unbelievable what they've achieved. But I do think that what I want to happen now is every race that comes out now is basically just a mashup of Hyrox, DEKA, and Deadly Dozen. So if it's got ergs and wall balls and sleds, then that's took from Hyrox. The dumbbell, the kettlebell, the weight plate exercises are, none of us has trademarked any of this. This is just all, this is just all ego. That's Deadly Dozen exercises, or if you're bear crawling, that's Deadly. If you're doing the rams, or you're doing like the dead ball, or you're doing like the air bike, that's DEKA. And that's how big I want the brand to be. It's like CrossFit. If you were doing Olympic weightlifting and then did a kip in pull-up or something, if you did Olympic weightlifting, even you were CrossFit. In the early days when I set up my S&C gym, if you had a rig, everyone's like, you're a CrossFit box. That's how good the branding was. If you did a bit of a circuit, people were like, what was you doing? I'm just circuit training, because the branding was so good. Yeah. And that's what Hyrox has got as well. And then what Deadly wants to be is almost like that simplified version of CrossFit, where the brand is that good that, like, we want it almost to be like, if you see someone train with dumbbells, kettlebells, and weight plates, they're like, oh, you're doing Deadly Dozen. And it's like, well, no, I'm just training with a weight plate. You're doing Deadly Dozen. Yeah. Like, if you're doing overhead carry, you're doing bear crawl, you're doing Deadly Dozen. That's how strong your brand wants to be. Right. I said, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's basics that everyone's been doing for many, many decades. All we're doing is we're making that wheel race. It's racification, I coined it. It's turning a bicycle into a monster truck. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not reinventing anything. We're just basically going, this is how we gamify it. This is how we make it more fun. What I want to achieve is that Deadly Dozen becomes like the standard. Like every garage gym owner does like a Deadly Dozen workout at some time. And that's what we're trying to achieve.
And those 11 different events will be part of the key to that. So it's scalable not just in volume, but it's scalable in terms of where you can do it. Because if you say, well, I've got no access to large spaces, fine. Do Deadly Row, or do Deadly Erg, or Deadly Erg 2. Or...
Yeah, it's just... And the DFT, you've got a Deadly Fitness test, which is just basically the rep labors, so deadlift, snatch, goblet squat, clean and push press, clean and press, devil press. Now you can do DFT row, DFT ski, DFT bike, DFT air bike, DFT run. Now they've got an option... Yeah, you can have an option to do, right, you've got a rower at home, right, I'm going to do DFT row, and you've got global leaderboards, like the Concept 2 leaderboards. Yeah. So we're just creating this mixed modality. I want Deadly Dozen to be almost like the standard for mixed modality testing. So most fitness tests are monostructural, it's a 5K, it's a 10K, it's a 1 rep max, it's a 2K row, it's, a max aerobic speed test. What we've got is like mixed modality testing, where you're doing a mixture of resistance training and running or cardiovascular activities. And we want to, within our app, within our leaderboard, we want to integrate AI and stuff like that, where we can analyze all this stuff. And we want to be like a leading sort of sports science strength and conditioning provider. What it's about is Deadly Dozen can be that thing that, how hard is it to motivate yourself for home training, right? For a lot of people, Deadly Dozen goes, right, well, rather than just walking in your garage gym and doing 4 sets of 10 and out and 3 sets of 10 and out, you're going to do a DFT run, or you're going to do this everything. It just takes the simple stuff and gamifies it, racifies it, turns it into a race, makes it, builds a community. Because all it is it's just fun fitness with a community behind it and a brand. And that's what I think makes us different, because I don't want to just be a race. I want to be... It sounds cliche about being a movement, and it's all like, and it sounds a bit douchey, but fundamentally, it is about creating something where you're like, I'm doing deadly training, and it's not just a methodology, it's an ethos, and hopefully that will start getting through to people where they're like, I'm not, it's CrossFit has that, so Hyrox doesn't.
Yes.
CrossFit does. CrossFit is more than like a race. It's an ethos. It is a movement. It's a methodology. Even though CrossFit can say we're constantly varied, which they are, fundamentally we know that there's certain aspects of it, like Olympic weightlifting and gymnastic movements, that create that sort of ethos, and that's what Deadly Dozen wants to achieve with them fundamental movements with simple equipment. Is it's an ethos, it's a methodology that people take up outside the race.
So how long before you have a Forces Deadly, Army versus RAF versus Navy? When are you going to get that done?
So that's the original concept there is basically it's like the invitational. So what we want to do, one of the data points that we want to collect is what sport or job people are coming from. Because I think we've got the ultimate fitness test. So if I was to say to most people, S&C coaches, create the ultimate fitness test, they'd do a test in battery. So they'd have like a 1 rep max. They'd have like a test that tests aerobic capacity. They'd have one that tests like anaerobic fitness, maybe speed, So you'd get all the different verticals. And that's almost like what ATHX has done, where it's if you've got CrossFit on one side and then sort of conventional sort of fitness racing on the other, like your Hyrox DEKA Deadly Dozen, things like ATHX sit in the middle, where it's low complexity, but there's stages to the race where you go, right, it's not like a race from A to B, it's right, you're doing a 3 rep max, then you're doing this Metcon, then you're doing this endurance, right? And that's like a different thing. And that's how people perceive the ultimate fitness test. What fitness racing has done is basically gone, right, you have to be strong and you have to be aerobically fit. And that's what we think we have better than anyone else, right? Because there's no clear bias, whereas Hyrox has that bias towards the Ks. CrossFit, although they say it's constantly varied, I do agree. I do think if you win the CrossFit Games, you can call yourself the fittest person on earth, because it's pretty incredible what they do, right? I'm not going to take that away from them. But there is a bias towards strength, and there's a massive bias towards technical movements, right? Deadly dozen, everyone can do it. So what we want to be able to do is say, who's the deadliest athlete on earth? So footballers, rugby players, army, navy, RAF, and bring all these people in. Now, if we can collect data of who was a footballer, who's a cricketer, who's this, we can start collecting data on what sports produce the deadliest athletes, and who are the best at deadly dozen. And the injury risk is so low at deadly dozen, right? Thousands of athletes last year, not a single injury of note. So it's an incredibly low risk event. So we want to invite all these people and run these events. And this is the idea behind the Invitational, is we're inviting all these people to say, who's the deadliest athlete? And that's what we want to do.
So Jude and I are starting a series on assessing different sports and events as to how hybrid fitnessy they are. So Jude talked about the 10 different aspects of fitness, and different sports have higher scores for different elements of that. So do you expect really that Deadly Dozen would win that little competition that me and Jude are setting up for? What is the purest hybrid fitness sport? Is that something that in terms of what you're trying to design, the odds are you'd be up at the top of that?
Yeah, I reckon so, because I think it's hard to ever argue with CrossFit, because they can basically just turn around and say, well, Deadly Dozen could be a CrossFit WOD. The whole idea, they can do a swim, they can do that. So that's why they can say we're the fittest on earth, because you can turn up and we can say round 1 is a Deadly Dozen, round 2 is max effort Olympic snatch, right? So that's sort of the concept of CrossFit, that it can be constantly varied. But I honestly believe that if you were to say that the biggest barrier with CrossFit is you couldn't take anyone off the street and go, you've got to do this, because if you can't do a muscle up, you're done. Whereas Deadly Dozen, you can pull anyone off the street, and whoever has the right balance of strength, speed, and endurance. So let's look at that as like the trifecta, is going to win. But I would say Deadly Dozen absolutely comes out really high. Fundamentally, anyone that wins Deadly Dozen is going to be strong, fit, and fast. And that's the bottom line. I don't think anything beats Deadly Dozen. I mean, I'm going to say that, but I genuinely don't. And that's me talking as an S&C coach. For me, if I was to test MMA, I've worked with combat athletes, I've worked with athletes, I wouldn't put them through CrossFit. If I wanted to test, but if you were to say to me, you've got to put these people through a physical test, mixed modality, the test is their hybrid fitness, I'd put them through Deadly Dozen. I wouldn't put them through anything else. I wouldn't put them through Hyrox. I wouldn't put them through CrossFit. I'd put them through Deadly Dozen as an S&C coach. Absolutely. Because the injury risk is low, and it does test everything. It tests all the movements, and it's not got a bias in any way. I think it is the ultimate hybrid fitness test.
So that's a great note to wrap up on, I think. So final question then is, if Denver is the American capital of hybrid fitness because of DEKA, and Hamburg is the mainland Europe capital of hybrid fitness, is Macclesfield the home of UK hybrid fitness?
Well, it's got to be now, hasn't it? I think Macclesfield is centre of the earth.
There we go. Macclesfield is the centre of the earth, and Deadly Dozen is the purest form of hybrid fitness racing.
Exactly, Macclesfield, centre of the universe.
It's all settled. Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, Jay. It's a privilege and really great pleasure to talk to you today about yourself as well as what you're doing through Deadly Dozen. Looking forward to getting into that myself, and Jude as well. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks.
So
cheers,
thanks a lot,
Paul.
Jay.
I appreciate
Thank you. And you can go to deadlydozen.com for more information. Hope you enjoyed that interview. Please do join us next week, where our main feature will be a review of the Hybrid Games event coming up this weekend in Glasgow.